Okay, hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to start at 7 o'clock on the dot, and we start at 7, so let's go. I hope you guys are doing well today. So I put out, what do you call it? I put out a story, a little poster on my Insta and Facebook, just to say, what do you want to talk about? And the reason why I did that is because we always want to know what you want to talk about, okay? What makes a lot of sense is to have a discussion that people want to talk about, right? So the one thing that came out is somebody who said, how do you tell the difference between the truth and being rude? And I thought that was very interesting. Not only very interesting, but also I think we can go deeper in it, okay? I'll tell you why I say I want us to go deeper in it. I've always asked that you get the book, The 4 Agreements. It's one that I not only read a number of times, but I refer to all the time. That's the book. If you've ever had a coaching session with me, you'd know that this is a book that I refer to all the time. Now, I wanted us to talk about the first agreement, okay? And that's going to be our topic of discussion for the day. Feel free to join me, and if you want to be part of the discussion and you'd like to come on the live, just send a request, and as per usual, we'll join in and we can have a chat on that one. So I think how you can then just to put it up, Chabo, what we want to talk about is being impeccable. Be impeccable with your word. That will be our discussion for today. But I must also just put it out there to say, because I always recommend the book, I then thought to myself, or maybe what we need to be doing is to actually say for the next 4 months, because it's 4 agreements, there's actually 5, but let's talk about the 4 agreements. The next 4 months, okay, I'll refer to the book, and we will talk about each agreement in each month. All right. So the last week of every month, as in the last week of July, this is today, we're talking about the first agreement, and the last week of August, as we go. Okay. So I say this, I talk about this because you will not understand until you read the book and you actually get the essence of it. You will not understand how life-changing it is. You will not understand how. And I think it's important for everybody to get that. You know, there's nothing as irritating as being the only one who understands things. It cannot be. That's why it's important to impart knowledge. That's why it's important to listen to other people who know even better than you, because you can't know everything, right? But here's the beauty of this book. And I've got my notes written down as well. So I'll go through I'll go through what I've written down in terms of my notes. But please, I want this to be conversational. I'd like for us to have a chat about it. I'd love for us to discuss it. Okay, so you join in and we can actually talk about it. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. What does it mean? What does actually being impeccable with your word mean? Now, you look at it lightly, how mean what you say, right? It says, be impeccable with your word, not with your work. Okay, is there another one? That's fine. I will do that one. Okay, so it sounds like it's a simple, just tell the truth. Come on, just do it. No, it goes deeper than that. Here's the thing about being impeccable with your word. The first thing that is very important about being impeccable with your word is telling the truth. Like you thought, yeah? Okay. We don't only leave it at the truth, because remember, there's my truth, there's your truth, and then there's the actual truth, right? So I always explain it this way. And I was talking to somebody else, and I was explaining the same agreement, and I was saying to them, be comfortable that when you are talking about something or someone, should that person come back to you and say, I heard you said 1, 2, and 3 about me, you should be comfortable enough to say, yes, I did. This is what I said. This is why I said it. This is what it means. Okay? So, in other words, harasebi. Okay? It's not a money, and then when that person comes to talk to you about it, you can't hold your own. Right? You need to be able to do that. That will also teach you, this is one of the most important agreements, because it will also teach you to shush when you don't have to be saying too much. There's things that you don't need to be saying. In all honesty, there's things that you don't need to kenya yourself in. And then you start understanding, or okay, so if I don't have to say a lot, I don't have to answer a lot. Yeah? I hope I'm making sense there to you. The other thing about being impeccable with your word is that it also means if you are being impeccable with your word, you need to listen to what the next person is saying, because their word is their bond too. So whatever they say, you listen. But your listening is not listening just so that you are able to respond, because this is what we do wrong. And I say we do wrong because a lot of us do that, okay? A lot of people do that. We tend to, we're already listening, I must come back. My comeback must be so hard that this person must actually just think, oh my gosh, it shouldn't be, I must just run away from that, and I must just run. No, it's not the comeback that's important. Guys, clapbacks are for Twitter, leave them there. In real life, we don't do clapbacks like that. In real life, we respond for meaning. Yeah? You don't respond just for the sake of response. That's a waste of breath. That's a waste of talking. It's such a waste of so many things. We don't do that. Yeah? So when you take time to listen, there's a few things that you're going to do. It means you're going to sit, you're going to listen to what the person says and understand what they're saying. Okay? And once you understand, and when you don't understand, you can also ask. Feel free to do that, because again, you want to be clear with what is being said. And then you take time to digest those words. So, and I know it sounds so silly in an argument where if you're going to stop and think about it, but this is again another way of saying we don't need to be having those mean, horrible, ugly arguments. We don't need to. We're adults. If we're going to be talking as adults, there are things that I'm going to be engaging in, and then there's arguments that just don't want me, that don't need my energy, that don't need my space, that I don't need. There's arguments that I will refuse to involve myself in. Not because I cannot argue you out, because trust me, arguing you out I can do like that. But that's not the point. The point is not to argue you out. The point is to have meaning in all the discussions that I have. If our discussion is not going to have meaning, why am I wasting time? If our discussion is not going to have any meaning, actually even walking away is better. It's okay. I can do that. You take time to digest the words so that when you do respond, you know what you have said, you know what you're responding to, you know what has been said. That also helps the next person, because remember the things that we do, especially if you're in a relationship or that type of thing. When you talk, and if you want to teach a person how to treat you, treat them the way you want to be treated. Yeah? Let me say it again. If you want to teach a person how to treat you, you treat them the way you want to be treated. Yeah? I hope that makes sense to you. You do that. If I want to be treated with respect and love, my response cannot be rude and crass, because that's then I'm teaching you to treat me in that way. So my response is going to be exactly how I would like you to treat me. And then we take it from there. I can't argue, or you don't treat me the way I want, but Lynn, I don't know how to do it. It's like do as I say, not as I do. It cannot work like that. It doesn't work like that. Then there's those responses that you like. When you are, do you know how you like, when you are listening to someone, or when somebody's listening to you, you want to hear them say to you little things like, oh yes, I hear you. No, you're right. Oh, I agree. Okay, you're making a lot of sense. I'm not sure. I'm not saying people should always agree with you. But I'm saying if you're listening to someone, you're going to actively listen to that person. You are being impeccable with your word. You said, I will listen. And that's exactly what you're going to do. You are going to listen. Okay? So that's the important thing about listening and then understanding and dealing with it in that manner. At times we are so quick to say, oh, okay, and then you're talking to people and this is what they're doing, sending texts on their phone. No, I hear you. Or my pet peeve, they're playing Candy Crush as you're talking. And this is, look, it's one thing that we are just chatting and talking about some TV show we watched. On Generations. I don't know. Or Gomorrah, whatever it is that's playing now. Or on The Queen, did you see what's happening? And we're just chatting and it's fun. And we're playing Candy Crush and whatever else that's happening. That's fine. That's fine. But if we're going to have a discussion, give me attention. I will give you the same attention. Okay? You give me attention, I give you attention. My attention means you're going to listen to me. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to listen to you. So using those phrases that you like, using the phrases that come to you, that give you warmth, that give you a sense of understanding. Integrity. Something that is so necessary for any relationship or for anything to happen. Being impeccable with your word basically talks to your integrity. Okay? If you cannot be trusted based on your word should be bond. Guys, if I say, I'm going to do the live on on Monday at 7 o'clock, I need to be here on Monday at 7 o'clock. Because this is what I have said I am going to do. You didn't force me to come here at 7 o'clock to do it. This is my bond. This is what I have said. I will be here to do it at 7 o'clock. Guess what then happens? You come on at 7 o'clock and you do your thing at 7 o'clock. Life happens. We know that. When life does happen and you cannot be there for an appointment that you have said or set and made, if you cannot be there, again, be decent enough to pick up the phone and call. Don't send a text. Oh, don't send a text here. I'm running late. Yeah, I'll be there just now. How long is just now? Is just now 2 minutes? Are you around the corner, the real corner? Or are you still leaving your house? And I'm sitting waiting and you said to me you'll be there at a certain time. Be impeccable with your word. You said to me you are going to be there. I'm going to wait for you to be there at that time. Okay? So you need to be truthful. You need to be honest. You need to be dependable. You need to remember that. You need to be truthful. You need to be honest. You need to be dependable. Very, very important. This is how we judge you in life. And this is people don't even tell you how they're judging you in that manner. But how we engage with you and you see you doing things, we're like, oh, okay, oh, Jay, can't be trusted, that one. Yeah? I always say to people who will come and tell you, Mamang, naseba aring gawena. And I say, why are they comfortable to come and tell you? There is something that is happening there. Either you are not impeccable with your word, you are telling on your friends after you have been part of that discussion, or what is going on? What is happening? People should know you well enough to know the honest person that you are, that should they come to me and say, Homotso witse 1, 2, 3, right? It should be very clear that I can immediately pick up the phone and say, Homotso, Mpo ar witse 1, 2, and 3. Yeah? I can only do that if I trust. Yeah? If I trust Homotso, if I trust her word, if her integrity is intact. So, important things that we need to look at. Another thing, choose your words wisely and slowly. Guys, a word hasimonwana, you can't pull it back. You cannot say things with the hope of saying sorry and hoping that you can get away with it just because you said sorry. Sorry isn't enough. It actually isn't enough. If you think about the number of times you've said sorry on things that were not necessary for you to be even saying them in the first place. So if you're arguing with a person and you're teaching them how you want to be treated, I doubt you'll call that person stupid. I doubt you'll say to that person, it's when you are just silly, it's when you are stupid. Those things you can never say if you know that you don't want to be treated in the same manner. Choose your words wisely. You cannot take it back. You cannot take your word back. The best you can do is sorry and Trust me. It's nice I hear people saying sorry, and then your sorry is your sorry, but it takes a little bit away every time you do it. And there's only so many times that you can say sorry. Trust me. There's only so many times that you can say sorry. The next time you do it, I don't even need an apology, because you are just showing me who you are, and you continue to show me who you are. And remember, I am of the school of thought that says, if they show you their true colors, believe them the first time. So if somebody says to me, I am red, I'm not making excuses for you. You're not going to be maroon. You're not going to be bloodshot. You're not going to be slightly red, pinkish. You're red. That's what you have shown me that you are. If you want to change and be orange, it will be you who will have to do the work. I'm not going to sit here and say, please show me orange. That's not my business. That's not my business. You show me who you are, and I will take you on what you show me. If you choose your words wisely, people will take you on that one. That's important. And imagine, remember, think back to how good it felt to hear people tell you beautiful things about yourself, or about how they feel about you, or how you make them feel. Those type of things. Sometimes we crave for that, and then we want to go and get it. Guys, give it. It then comes back to you. You treat people the way you want them to treat you. So silly example, my friends walk in, and I can comfortably say to them, you are beautiful. Oh, you're looking so smart. No. You are beautiful. Say it. Use the words. Why are we scared to give compliments? Why are we scared to say these beautiful things to people, but we want them said to us? Who's going to say them to us if we can't say them to the next person? It takes nothing away from you. Walk in a mall and see a beautiful looking woman walking past. You don't know what her day's been like. You don't know what she's been going through. She could have the biggest stresses in life, and all she could need is just words of affirmation from you. That's all she could need. And then you just look at her, and because you bile restored, up and down, and you walk off, and the poor woman is sitting there thinking, what have I done wrong? When all you could have said was, you look beautiful. You don't need to know her name. You don't even need to go back and do anything else after that. Hi, you're looking beautiful. And you walk straight on. Guys, make other people's days. You want your day made. Get it. Imagine if all of us were in the habit of being nice to all of us. My goodness, we'd have such a happy world. We'd be so happy with everything that we go through and everything that happens. I'm going to go through, and we can go through more of these discussions. I have no issue with taking. I want to hear what you've got to say on this one and your understanding of being impeccable with your word. Keep your word. Very, very important. Remember that your word is a contract. You don't even need to sign on it. But if you say something to someone, contract, your word is a contract. I'm going to do this for you, do it. I'm going to go there and help you with this, do it. Okay? Do it. Please do it. We can only take that as your contract. We trust that with you. That's all we can trust. But if you're the type of person that, I remember I had a friend, and I say had deliberately, it's not a mistake. I had a friend who every time I would invite her somewhere, or we were supposed to meet, if our meeting is for 12 o'clock, she would pitch 2. If there's something happening at my house and there's a party or anything like that, and I say starting time, lunchtime, arrive at about 1 o'clock for lunch and be ready. Look, I'm not Miss Time herself, okay? But if I'm going to say to you, arrive lunchtime at 1 o'clock, and you pitch at 8 o'clock at night, no, yeah, guy. No, yeah. So I then one day said to her, know that I don't take your word seriously. Your word to me is not bond. And she was hurt when I said that to her. And I thought, this is interesting. So I can't tell you how your behavior makes me feel. Your behavior, you're disregarding me, disregarding my time, disregarding my effort, disregarding my space, how that makes me feel, I can't tell you. When I do tell you, then you get offended. Lerata offends. That's just the problem. Lerata offends. Now, the question was, how do you tell between the truth and being rude? If you're impeccable with your word, you can say the truth with no worry. But a lot of people make excuses. I've heard people who are rude make an excuse for their rudeness and say, nah, I tell it as it is. Nah, I say it as it is. Nah, I say exactly what I'm feeling. I say what's on my mind. You do the exact same thing to that person who says that way, and they get so offended. There's things that you shouldn't tell them, but they can do it to you. Why? They know how bad it feels. So, guys, in life, remember that with everything that happens, relationships, whether it's between your sister, your brother, your mother, your boyfriend, your husband, anybody, kids even, it's a two-way street. You give, you give. So it's not that one should just be taking, and nobody gives, or when it can never happen that way. Relationships can never happen that way. So these people who tell you or whatnot, they tell it as it is, and they are proud of it because they can be rude about it. They can walk in and be rude. Has a superpower who are rude, man, we can all do it. Has a superpower. You're not special by being rude. You're not special for saying it as it is or whatever. You know, in actual fact, being nasty is probably one of the easiest things to do. You don't have to think much about it. You don't have to be conscious about what you're saying. You don't have to be conscious about how you want to make the other person feel. None of it goes. So being nasty, anybody can do it. Why am I playing in the same loop as everybody who wants to be nasty? I want to make an impact in your space. I want to make you feel good. And if you do something wrong, I can still tell you, handling. I don't need to be nasty for me to tell you the truth. There is a huge difference. There is a huge difference. Guys, learn to fight the ball and not the man. These people who fight the man and then come and say, Nataba, I tell it as it is. Come on. Come on. We can all tell it as it is. Trust me, we can. But this is the world we live in, and we need to live with other people. If we are to live with other people and we are to live with other people comfortably, then at least let's be decent about it. Treat people how you want them to treat you. Beverly Johnson wants to join us. Yeah, Beverly, hi. Hello, Beverly. Hi, Beverly, how are you? Beverly? Beverly, wait. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening with Beverly. Okay, and then they drop the line. Okay. You see, Beverly's not impeccable with her word. You see that? You can't request to talk to us and then you drop us. Yeah? Yeah. That's not being impeccable with your word. Let me go back, and I want to, there's a few other people that wanted to join us, and I want to just, I do apologize for taking time to go back, but I need to, there's somebody else who wanted to join us, and now I can't see it. I don't know where to check. Okay, Nombulelo is there. I think Nombulelo wanted to talk to us. I think so. So I'm trying to get Nombulelo on. If you do want to talk to us, I think what we should do, Taban Homoto, please take down the handles of the people who then want to join us. And then so that when we go back to it, we can always just join and just connect them, because I see here that we're struggling to just join them just like that. I don't see that coming through, but are we understanding, are we clear with what that agreement is? And I mean, you know, when you go through the book, it actually even says, well, this is probably something that you think is very, very simple, but your word has power. The power that is in your word, if you don't trust and respect that your word has power, guys, even to yourself. When I say treat people the way you want to be treated, treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Please. It's so important that you be nice to you. There's people who fail to talk to self because they fail to be nice to themselves. Remember that you are always listening. So the words that you use when you refer to yourself are so, so, so important. When you are talking to yourself and you're reprimanding yourself for whatever reason, and you are there saying, oh my gosh, you are so stupid. If there's an audience that you always have, it is self. So if you are not going to be nice to yourself, I don't understand how you expect that anybody else will be nice to you. Start with being nice to yourself. And I know it's a difficult thing. I know it's difficult and I know that people struggle to do it. And this is why in coaching sessions, you talk to people about doing affirmations and you tell them, let's do these affirmations. You stand in front of the mirror and you say these things to yourself on a daily. Hello, beautiful. I love you. You are beautiful. You are worthy of love. You say these things. You are worth it. You are worth the time given. You say these things to yourself. Because if I want somebody else to say it to me, I've got to first start by saying it to myself. If I want to believe what somebody else can say to me, I first have to believe it myself. The world should not be working in a sense that we should be waiting for people to convince us how we should be feeling inside. No, we should feel good about ourselves and tell the world about how good we are. We should exude this goodness, for lack of a better word. It should literally just come out, And there's one thing. In fact, today I had a coaching session and I walked in, and this lovely young lady said to me, "Oh my gosh, you walk with such confidence." And I thought it threw me back for 2 seconds, and I thought, this is interesting. And she said to me, you walk with your head held high. And I thought back to myself as I was driving back home, and I thought to myself, the number of times that growing up, for example, I would be told, hold your head up high and stand there and you start telling yourself those things. You start looking in the mirror and you start saying to yourself, you actually are worth the space that you live in. You are worth the air that you're breathing. You are worth the life that you have. You deserve all the good things that are coming to you. It's not only for other people. Sometimes we are so scared to claim it and take it that we think all the good things go to other people and never to us. And we think we are here. No. No. Harakapa anybody mo lefatsheng. Re khapane. Kaofela rona. Kaofela rona re khapane, and we are all special and important in our own ways. Now, once you understand who you are and how clear you can be with self, you have no need to compete with the next person. You have no need to look at the next person and be envious. You can actually look for encouragement. Yes, of course. You look and think, that's amazing. That's encouraging. I'd love to do that. There will always be somebody ahead of you. And that's why you can always look and think, that's beautiful. But also remember that there's somebody behind you. And that one behind you is looking at you thinking, that's amazing. This is beautiful. This is where I want to be. This is how I want to be. This is where I want to grow to. Guys, it's all in here. Being impeccable with your word is not only about what you give to other people and only having other people being the recipients of this word of yours. You are the first recipient of your own goodness. You are the first recipient of your own good word. You should be the first recipient, and that's where you start. Okay, that's where you start. So it's important that we state that, and we actually put it out there as one of the best things you could ever do for yourself. I'm going to go through some of your messages. Okay, Bongi, is Bongi joining us? Hi, Bongi. Hi, Bongi. Bongi. Oh, Nombulelo says, Nombulelo, you're here. Let's talk. Tell me how you understand being impeccable with your word. She says you press the camera and turn by error. But Nombulelo, you're live already. I can see you. Or at least I can see Tukuya how. You're running away. No, don't run away. Don't run away. Hey? No, okay. All right. Not here. All right, that's fine. Now Tsepo says, no, okay, then press the X to opt out, my dear. Now Tsepo says, yo, Spasi, I'm cleaning and listening. I used to work for a lady younger than me, and she used to say, Remo kapila ho pila, yena wa pila, rena re kapile. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, no, 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 no. No. Ara kapa anybody ho pila. Guys, as much as, like, let me put it to you this way. Beyonce has an amazing life, eh? From what we see. Absolutely. She has everything. She has the money, she has this. Oh my gosh, what an amazing life. Beyonce. Beyonce. She has an amazing life. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's great. It's her life. Linda. Yeah? I aspire to reach levels that, you know, how much money she has, and oh my God, the type of life, the yachts, the this, the that she lives. That would be absolutely amazing. But I'm still a full human being, and I'm still an amazing woman, and I'm still this beautiful woman that lives in my skin, and I'm still Mapaseka, and no Beyonce can take it away. Hare nyenyefatse Beyonce, but hare tlo nyenyefatsa Mapaseka because Beyonce wa pay. Am I making sense? She can never be less of herself. She is absolutely amazing, and we take her as that, right? But so am I, and so are you, and so is the next person. So once you treat yourself with love and respect, and this is how people start disrespecting you. When you start treating them like they are worthy of being in this world far more than you are, that's where the disrespect comes in. When people start, because again, what you give them, they believe you. I get it, this is what you've said to them. They then start believing you. Oh yeah, okay, maybe you are. There's a message here that says you must be embarrassed when your word means nothing to you, but surely it won't mean anything to the world. This is true. This is so true. If your word cannot, you know, if I say to even a child, a 3-year-old child, if I say to a 3-year-old child, I'm going to buy you sweets, and I come back without those sweets, I am teaching this child that people can be dishonest. Unless if I'm going to sit this child down and say to this child, oh, Nana, obviously age appropriate. Sorry, Nana, man, I can't tell this with Mama ha khona feta ko shopong today ne. Are ro direct. Kapa kausani, I'm gonna bring them for you, ne? And then you do that. You bring them. Guys, please, your word. Even if you teach yourself to always tell the truth, even to yourself, you will find it so difficult to lie. Because you start thinking, I'm not being impeccable with my word. You want to stop yourself from doing that. Noxim Tunga says our paths are not the same and we won't all reach our destination successes at the same time. Of course, and we're not meant to. You are very correct. We are not meant to reach them at the same time. Otherwise, life wouldn't be interesting. Guys, it would be so boring. If we were all the same and nobody had anything different and nobody, no. But this is why we need to embrace our differences. This is why we need to, you know, sit there and think, that's amazing, that's beautiful. How much I say it's you look and you think, that's beautiful. That's where I'd like to be. And be able to say, how did you get there? I'd love to do that. You know? I always listen to people saying, oh, hey, but one gets hey, everybody wants to be me. Guys, that's flattery right there. I mean, that's a compliment of note. If people want to be you, you're doing something right. Why do you get offended? Why do you get offended when somebody wants to take something good that you're doing and they want it for themselves? It should not be something that upsets you. You should actually be thinking, and maybe it's the how. Maybe it's because people don't come and say to you, I like this, and they do it. But once you see them do it, they don't have to tell you. Otherwise, it means what you are looking for is the Sisi Nana. Well done, congratulations. Yo, you are amazing. Sisi Nana. Guys, the world can't always be Sisi Nana to you. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen that way. I know that we love recognition and we all love acknowledgement and we all love to be seen and to be, you know, all of those things. But it doesn't happen that way. But if you can look at it and say, when somebody comes to you and says, you've done this and I'd love to do it, they don't have to say to you, you are amazing. They wouldn't come and ask you if you're doing a bad job at it. They wouldn't come and ask you if it was a horrible thing. So the fact that they are asking, you should be able to go back to your mirror and sit in front of the mirror and say, well done, baby. You inspired someone today. Well done. You're doing great. Good job. That's what you should be doing. So, it's those things that we need to do and be comfortable in our own skin, so much so that we don't stress about whether that person, are they coming or not. DIY Ekas.
Hello. I'm trying to switch it on. Oh, there it is. Hi, how are you doing?
We're lovely. How are you?
Good. Yeah, man, you've hit so many points, so many hit pain points, if you want. And the one I just want to latch in on is not as a person. I always get into trouble because whenever I'm dealing with or engaging with people, I would say it is important, even the grammar that you use, and not necessarily because of language, purely because of how you would say the same thing just by shifting maybe your is or how it changes the whole concept, and that for me used to create a problem, especially in cases where there's differing opinions, and it gets people. Give you an example. Okay, I usually say this to guys. There's a guy who will say, bend over, woman, this is the story. Or a guy who would say, babe, I want you. These guys are both looking for the same thing. It's just a difference in the words they are using. And for that reason, the outcome could be different, Two, it would be a case of, okay, maybe I'm a little bit sensitive to how people speak to me. And for that reason, it also is very important how you would say something to me if I feel accused or attacked, or if I feel reprimanded for something I've done wrong.
Tell me why are you triggered by the things that people say to you? Tell me that. Have you ever stopped to check why?
I have, to some degree. Okay, let me put it this way. I think there's always, and I'm going to be going a little bit too much back into history. Middle child, number 6 of 7. I came up in the world being not small enough to have diplomatic immunity, not big enough to be able to hold a fight. So in that sense, it was, the world said very early to me, black man, you're on your own.
Okay. So you realize that. So and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm gathering from you is that you are triggered by your own past.
Yeah.
So the words that I'm saying to you may not necessarily be bad words, but you could be triggered because of where you come from.
Correct.
Are you aware of it?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, let's this is how I've used it to forgive myself. One, I've said to myself, everyone has their language, right? Everyone has got their past. Some more shinier than others, some more healthier than others. Now, I would want to say, I usually put the burden on myself as much as possible to try and get the person to understand where I'm coming from. So I have a lot of in hopefully not bad, but interruption that says, when you say this is what I'm hearing, I normally do that. And then just to make sure that people understand what I mean by that. And I'm also guilty of being, call it, long-winded. We'll get to that point somewhere along this conversation where you'll say, get to the point. Because I really, I feel like I want to use as many words as possible, just so that my statement does not get lost in translation.
Okay. I hear you. Okay, I hear you. Now, you being triggered by me saying something that is not necessarily bad. How do we do that? Remember, again, in conversation, my responsibility is imparting what I am thinking, what I am feeling, giving that knowledge, right?
Sure. Right.
Your responsibility is understanding it. I cannot have the responsibility of saying it and understanding it. The understanding has to come from yourself.
Of course.
So how do you deal with your understanding? Your understanding also comes with, in fact, if you read the book, The Four Commitments, he talks about your domestication, the 4 agreements. What did I say? Commitments, the 4 agreements. He talks about your domestication, which basically just means your background, where you come from, how, like you say, your background, you were treated in this way, this is how it made you feel, this is what happened. So when somebody says, no man, come here now, your simplest, let me give you an example, actually, now that I just thought about it. I went to see, I wouldn't say he's a doctor, but he's almost like a homeopath of sorts. And this guy happened to be white. And I walked in and I had my 2 little kids with me. And he wanted to call Gano. And he looked at Gano and said, Gano. Gano looked and said, you, come here, like this. Now, let's go back to our domestication as Black people.
The fight is on.
When somebody calls you like this, what does it say?
It's on. The fight is on.
Right there. So I had to remember that this guy is probably doing that. He doesn't understand why I would be offended by it. Right? So the responsibility then lies on me to tell him, whoa, hold on. Don't call my child like this. We don't do this. You call dogs like this, but you call people come. You say come to people. So I gently explained to this guy, listen, this is not how you call him. This is what you do. And he was like, oh, I've never known that. I mean, we just use this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Don't do that with us, at least. Maybe you and your family may take it and it may be okay. And that's fine. But it's not a nice thing for us. He immediately said, oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me. And then he said to me later, as at the end of our consultation, as we were walking out, he said to me, anybody else would have really gotten upset, gone through this consultation, walked out, and never come back again. But you have just educated me, something that I've never.
Yeah.
Or 60s. He's only learning this now. So it is possible that you don't know these things. You are getting triggered. So now the onus is on you to sit back and say, I'm getting triggered by this. Maybe let me tell this person, listen, when you talk to me like that, it makes me feel like that. Then if that person continues to talk to you like that, then we have a different discussion. Are you with me?
Yeah, fully. I think, okay. Actually, I just remembered something with your example. Somebody could have turned around and said the with us statement, to say, oh, exactly. who died and made you the ambassador for Black people?
Exactly. You are spot on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes. You are spot on.
I feel you. I kind of feel your statement. I think to get back to at least my side of it, I do try to um, e- explain or at least give feedback on information that comes across, right? Um,
Okay.
at times, I would find people who would engage and say, "Oh no, that's not what I meant," or
Mm-hmm.
then somebody who would be dismissive and say, "Ah, no, but you're being too sensitive, chief."
Mm.
You get it?
Okay. And how do you deal
Yeah.
with that? How do you deal with the you're being too sensitive, Chief?
Look, it's. I think one. This is one of my strengths. I'm very. I think I would like to think. Let's put it that way. I would like to think that I can hold my own in terms of, debating and influencing each other.
Mm.
I just don't come once it starts, going high volumes and getting into an actual conflict now. So that's where I pull back, and you, I get it.
Mm.
It's just by nature. But the problem, or while the conversation is still at the level of Rakota,
Mm.
no, that way, then let's have it till the cows come home, please.
Okay. I hear you. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
You're making a lot of sense. Thank you very, very much for sharing with us. So nice to hear.
No, thank you. Sure,
All
sure.
right. Thank you very much. Anybody else who wants
Right.
to join us and have a discussion with us, please feel free to do exactly what he did there. You can. Oh, and apparently they know you from Come Dine With Me. Los Angeles. They know you from Come Dine With Me.
Funny story, actually.
Ah.
Um, I was out go pick and pay. Okay, could have been anywhere on the morning, and then your husband is on radio, and
Mm-hmm.
then he's talking about this multi potentialite story,
Okay.
and just then, or on his show, the Edia Come Dime comes on. And then
Okay.
I'm like, man, hey, but this one as well. I'm jumping on this thing. I jump on it, and then I get it, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a lovely story. I remember that show actually. I remember when he did that show. That's great. That's great.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I love that. You want it, you go for it. Take it. It's yours. Take
Yeah,
it and run. This is life, guys. And we know we only have this one life. Eh? This one life. I remember, I think I was so young when my mother told me this. And she said to me one day, I can't remember what we were talking about. Pasi, remember that life, you have to live this life. Because after this life, we don't know what happens. Nobody has ever come back to tell us what it is, what's happening on the other side. So, and
yeah.
then we were sitting outside, and I remember there were ants and whatever. And she pressed one ant, and the poor ant died. And I was like, oh. And she says, no, let's watch it. Maybe we are hoping it'll do. So,
It's also
I was much younger. I sit there looking at this ant.
CPR on the end.
And she says to me, yes, my point exactly. You have one life. Live this life. Go for things that you want to go for. Achieve those things. Fight for them. Go out. Go get what you want in this one life. Because you don't know. Maybe like that ant, when you die, you are just as still as that ant is. That thing stayed in my mind. I was much, much younger, but I remembered from then, I've never
Mm,
wanted, I've never wanted to be dead like that and into the things that I want to do. I've always been very
yeah,
clear about if I want it, I'm going to go for it and fight for it and try and get it and do it. And sometimes life happens and people start, they get to you and because of those life experiences, you forget a few things, you forget who you are, you forget your background, and you start shying away. But every now and again, every time I remember that story, it's always been a reminder for me to stand up and go and get it, to stand up and do it, and to also achieve the things that I want, not necessarily what my parents want, what my children want, what my husband wants, what I want, to stand up and achieve those things. Very important thing.
So it's okay, Khurata Dilo. Because that's normally the
Rata dilo, as long as you're not killing anyone, go ahead and rata those dilos.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Nice talking to you. You're welcome.
Lovely chatting to you. Thank you so very much. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
That was lovely.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else want to join us and have a discussion with us? You are more than willing to do that. Macy, my just made me feel better. I was going to say I'm relocating. I was having doubts, but now I'm going for it. Go for it. Do it. Do it.
How do I jump off?
Oh, on the right-hand side of your screen at the corner, there should be an X. Press that X.
Okay. Press the X.
Press X.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you. Okay, girl from Soweto, Karabo, I think. Karabo, that's your name. It says, this might sound crazy, but how do you quit the voices in your head telling you you're not good enough? Yep. And those voices come. You know, it's like dealing with Ing. Maybe this is a topic that we need to have, because I'm just looking at the time now. I want us to, please note this. I want us to talk about imposter syndrome, because sometimes you can do something, but the fear that you have and those voices that keep saying, you're not good enough, you can't do it. And you get so scared and you end up shying away. Typical of imposter syndrome. Something that I think we really need to have a discussion about. So I want to have a bigger discussion on it, if you don't mind, please, Karabo. I'd love for us to have a bigger discussion on it, because I think it's one that a lot of people deal with. You know, I've dealt with a lot of people who will say to me, as I got promoted, I appreciated the promotion, but I started fearing that maybe I can't do the job. You wouldn't have gotten the promotion if you couldn't do the job. But those voices are there. Those voices are real. I understand it, Karabo. This is where your affirmations come in. This is where, because you're always listening, that's why you always hear those voices. You are always listening. So the listening that comes in now is you telling yourself these things. You actually stand there and you say, you are good enough. You are worthy of it. You can do it. You know what? And forget the naysayers. People are going to say, people are going to say, you're not this, you're not that. I know that I'm good enough and I'm going to do it. Where I doubt that I might not have enough knowledge on something, go out and do something about it. Sit down and be objective about it and say to yourself, for me to do 1, 2, and 3, if these voices are saying I'm not good enough, what would I need? I would need to understand this, get it? I would need to read that, okay, do that. And then you go and do those things so that you can now stand with these voices and literally have that argument. Guess what? When you start arguing with those voices in your head, they actually die down. Because why those voices come up is because you just allow it. And because there's more space for the voices to come up. And you start dumbing yourself down. And the voice that says to you, you are good enough, that's the voice you always push down. So all we try and do, and it's not an overnight thing, but what we try and do is work at these voices that they come this way. There are times when they will come here and maybe dirahanyane, and you fight and you get back and they'll try. That's life. You have to be tried, for lack of a better word. Okay? You will always have those things, but the point is to get there. Yeah? You also don't want to be so extremely positive with everything that you're over there, that you are thinking, or man, baskanjweza, nakidlala tennis better than Serena. Meanwhile, all you've been doing is just playing it. Know your space and be honest with yourself. That honesty is very, very important, because why I say you need to understand and know yourself, it's a very thin line between knowing and understanding yourself and arrogance. And once you start getting arrogant about who you are, I can do it, I'm better than that person, I'm better than, nope, we're going to have a problem there. Yeah, we're going to have a problem there. So you need to work at it. You need to go there. That's important. Okay. Thabo Mogole are eat life with a teaspoon. Oh, this little Thabo Mogole. Thabo's, yes, this is it. Teaspoon wananan. You eat this life thing. Teaspoon for everything, like a straw. As long as this life, and it's yours. It's your life. Okay. Miss, just join the. Okay. Tina, I always have these little voices. I always look for excuses. Yes, and we self-sabotage, don't we? The minute you see something good, or even in relationships, you meet somebody nice and you start looking for every excuse for that person to be the wrong person. Why? Because it's easier for that person to be the wrong person than for you to be vulnerable. It's easier for you to look at that person and say, oh, what bora? People will see the oddest things. I just thought, move. Oh, yeah. So does yours. So does mine. These are things that happen. Because you're trying to find every excuse. Guys, we are so good at self-sabotage. We need to find a way to move those voices aside, because those voices are exactly what pushes you to self-sabotage. Mangoevu says, Sispasi, have you gone on YouTube yet? I'm looking at Taboza because he's the person who's YouTube. We are recording this on the iPad, so I'm hoping that we are going to post it straight. Okay, okay, that we're going to post it straight. So we'll try and do that. But yeah, we are live. Well, the channel is there, so it's just a matter of just making sure that everything goes on there. Okay. Tero Cindy Are, please do I struggle from that exactly, imposter syndrome. Okay, we'll deal with imposter syndrome as well. Nadi Modisa says the freedom that comes when you decide once and for all to take charge of your life is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely. Boniswa Nails, we have literally 3 minutes. And I'm gonna see if you and I can have a quick chat. Fifi says, I also struggle with the fear of the unknown. Okay, and those voices again, we'll talk about that too. Audrey Ledwaba says, my dreams sometimes tell true. Okay. Let me see, I'm going through some of your messages, and Othelia says, YouTube channel, Mapaseka Mokwele. That's what it is. I think it's just Mapaseka Mokwele. I'll confirm it now. In fact, you know what we'll do? We'll get the link and put it up on Insta and on Facebook so that it's there. Okay. Zazomaza says, can the widow being impeccable with her word during the funeral planning, in-laws will say, Awuhloniphi. Kanjani, you're being impeccable. Remember, like I said, being impeccable with your word does not mean you have to be disrespectful. So because you're a widow does not mean you don't have a voice. You do have a voice. And chances are, if you are a widow, your partner told you what they would like and what they wouldn't like. If anything, your in-laws should be listening to you. Come on, guys. Please, it's important that we don't do that. Ngami says, I really want to get in the habit of talking to myself in the mirror out loud, but I've just realized it's actually not as easy as it sounds. It's not, hey? I can say a lot in my mind looking in the mirror, but I know it's not as easy as it sounds, and this is why it's a good thing to practice. It comes with time. You practice. You start doing it looking in the mirror, just your face, but you need to get to a point where you can look at your whole body naked and literally look and appreciate and say, Mona Khosana, I like this. You know what? You've carried me this far. Well done. This is what I'd like to see better. Let me work on it. This is what, it's the same thing that you do with your mind. This is what I'd like to see myself getting better at. I'm going to do it. For this job, I need to have this course. I want to study this, this, and that. You improve yourself, but you need to say those things to yourself. Talk to yourself. Push yourself. Get yourself there. That self-sabotage is a problem. Joyce Mayer says, can't you have these lives at least twice a week? Joyce, I would love to. I'm just not sure as yet of the time. But okay, I hear your suggestion. I don't want to make a promise to you as yet because I don't want to not be impeccable with my word. Yeah. But when the time comes, if it does come, I will then say it to you. It would be lovely if we could get a sponsor for it. Then at least we could move things out of the way and have it happen. But yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Dumila Khori says, I've started talking to myself out loud. It's working. All right, I'm glad. All right, thank you guys. Have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful. Khomso says no. I don't know what she's saying no to, but have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful week. We'll be back again next Monday, and remember, practice it this week. Please do it. Practice being impeccable with your word. Inbox me. Tell me how it's going. Tell me what you're going through and everything that happens there. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely, lovely evening. Practice makes perfect when you're right, just like you're. I'm reading messages. Okay, you can.